one race, competing visions for the future of New York City. A Democratic socialist, a guardian angel, a three-time governor, and the incumbent. Welcome to Battleground New York City, the fight for your vote. I'm S.E. Cupp. You were at candidate events today. Tell me what you heard and what you saw.
Mayors have three jobs. You got to keep crime low, quality of life high, and the tax base grow.
And there are going to be strange twists and turns before the votes are counted and the dust settles.
I think that much we can count on. Let's get right to it. Welcome to Battleground New York City, the fight for your vote, where we have less than 80 days left in this New York City mayoral election. And we're covering it because it's not just a local race. All eyes are on this election. And we've got it all covered for you right here. I'm S.E. Cupp. Let's get right to it. Later in today's show, we have a real treat. We'll talk to an independent mayoral candidate for mayor, Joseph Hernandez, about his vision for New York City. But first, let's, as always, get to the latest news from the campaign trail. And joining me again is Lisa Evers, reporter with Fox 5 News New York. Thanks. Welcome.
Great to be with you, S.E. Cupp.
Okay, so we've got some new news out of the Eric Adams, not campaign, but out of the incumbent's world. Tell me what's going on with Eric Adams.
Well, a couple of hours ago, it cleared on Politico. They are talking about Ingrid Lewis-Martin. Now, she is the top aide she was the top aide, I should say, before she was hit with bribery charges. She was a longtime confidant of Mayor Adams. She was with him going back to his borough president days. She was always by his side. She was the one that would basically take whatever his vision happened to be and make it happen. And then according to Politico's reporting in a story that the New York Post had also reported earlier this week, she is now facing new charges and is expected in Manhattan criminal court tomorrow to face new charges from the district, that the district attorney, Robert Bragg, is bringing against her. So there's a lot of talk about this because we haven't really heard that much about many of the former top officials, the people that were really the main team for Eric Adams, so many of whom got investigated and got hit with initial charges. And so just the timing of this is very, very interesting, coming as he's getting whacked again by the campaign finance board. They're saying, look, your paperwork's not right. It's incomplete information. You're not really giving this to us in a way that we can approve matching funds for you. So, and then we had the big shooting, the mass shooting at a nightclub at this lounge on Franklin Avenue in Crown Heights in Brooklyn on early Sunday morning. So he's at a vigil, and normally it would be packed and go on for blocks with people coming out to support him, and it just wasn't there. There were people from the police department, a few community leaders, but nowhere near what he would have had a year or two ago.
So there's a lot going on for him. How does this affect his race, this latest scandal involving his longtime aide?
Well, I think it reminds people again of how can you have so many top aides? You had your former deputy mayor for public safety, who was a longtime police chief in the New York City Police Department. You had your police commissioner. You had the head of the Department of Education, very well esteemed in educational circles, David Banks, an innovator in terms of getting young Black boys into college and changing the trajectory of their lives, very well esteemed for that. He was under investigation, and many other top aides. And then also as this whole national, the national focus on major cities, like what we saw in Washington, D.C., is there. You have New York City that with so many agencies that are already under federal monitorship. So I think a lot of people are feeling like this is just more of the same. And people start to feel like it's driving what I think is one of the main forces and impetus in this pro-Mamdani movement, is that people are just sick of the old thing. They want something new.
Okay, well, thanks for breaking that down, and we'll keep following that story. What I want to talk to you today about is the money, Lisa, because a lot of it's pouring into this race. It's important to know who's funding these candidates. New York Post reporting today that billionaire hedge fund heir Elizabeth Simons donates $250,000 to pro-Zohran Mamdani super PAC. She's the daughter of the late Jamie Simons, and the report notes that her contribution is the largest made to the group promoting Mamdani's campaign, which has already raised nearly $2 million from 300 separate donations. How significant is this donation to Mamdani's campaign?
I think Essie, even more important than the amount of money is who's giving it and who's doing it, because this is a big issue, especially around Mamdani. They see what happened with AOC. She hasn't been seen in the Bronx except maybe a couple of times. You talk to community leaders. I'm not saying this from a political standpoint. I'm saying from
Hmm.
like the ground game and what's
Hmm.
happening in the communities, which is what I see when I report. People in the
Yeah.
Bronx, I work in that area quite a bit, like nearly every single week. They say we've never seen her here. She never comes here. She's become such a, she became very early on a huge social media phenomenon, and
Yeah.
who's she being controlled by? She's not really doing anything for the people, and I think he has a real danger. He's got this tremendous momentum. He's got more money than anybody else. He's way ahead in the polls, but I think it's gonna leave a bad taste in people's
Hmm.
mouths if they feel like, okay, he's the next puppet that's coming up out of New York. He's the next social
Controlled by the
media.
billionaires. Uh-huh.
Exactly. And he's their front guy basically, because AOC has not brought
Interesting.
jobs. She fought Amazon when they were going to build a huge facility
That's
near the
right.
Queensbridge houses, which would have been such a boon to the neighborhood. People could have walked to work and
Right.
in that community, and they really needed jobs. And that's the reputation that she has, is that she's just not there for the people, and basically a fake, just a social media
Hmm.
figure, and not somebody who is really out there fighting for people. And Mamdani is going to have to deal with that in a different way, because he's a state assemblyman,
Assemblyman, yeah.
and they don't even work a full year. They're not even in session for a full year. So it's like they're getting these salaries, and then he's not there, and he doesn't have much of a track record. And when he does open his mouth, like recently, or someone else accuses him of something, like the legalization of prostitution, it's just raising questions in many voters' minds. Like, wait a minute, this is beyond a wild card here.
Hmm. Well, let me ask you about another PAC. The Daily News is reporting that Standing Up for Racial Justice, registered as SURJ for a Livable New York, phone bankers are making 500,000 calls to white working class voters before November to hype up Mamdani. This feels like old school grassroots politicking. Picking up the phone and calling voters. Will this work? That's a big mobilization effort.
Well, it's a huge mobilization effort, and the phone call thing, I think, in this day and age, is a real turnoff for a lot of people. And what
Uh-huh.
phone numbers do they have? Old landlines, and who are they getting
Right.
that is going to be answering those? But I think, what looks like to us, or to many people, what looks like old school politics, and is old school politics, like retail politics, which Cuomo used
Yes.
to be so good at, door to door, neighborhood to neighborhood, church to synagogue to mosque to all the different houses of worship, to all these different community groups. The fact that they're even considering that is interesting. But then Mamdani has people on his team who have that community organizer type of background, where it's like, look, you
Yeah.
can put millions of dollars of commercials on TV, you can give all kinds
And
of
they will.
speeches and press conferences. At the end of the day, are people really going to come out for you? No.
I mean, that's such a good point. I know every year, every election year, we all brace for the endless ads and robocalls, and it just feels like we're inundated. How is this election cycle shaping up for bad blitzes from all the candidates?
Well, Essie, I think in a lot of other types of races, like when it's for the state attorney general, or when it's for
Yeah, or the comptroller. Yeah.
candidates that are not that well known, or that their
Yeah.
name is known, they've been around, but now they're going into a different level. The TV ads are really, really important in a lot of in a lot of other local and state races. But I
Yeah.
think in this particular case, pretty much everybody Mamdani is the newest person in that whole mix. The whole group there. People know Curtis Sliwa. They know former Governor Cuomo. They know Eric Adams. Mamdani, they feel like they're knowing now, and then it's just like one thing, like, let's build homeless shelters in the subway, let's legalize prostitution, and he's quickly getting that kind of reputation. So I think I think the campaign commercials, if they're effective, and if they bring anything new to the table and are well done, I think those will be I think those could be effective and play a role. But I think even more important in this particular campaign is going to be the digital game, because they're going to have to
Yeah.
get people out to vote, and also newer New Yorkers, because a lot of the people that voted even 4 years ago are no longer, the taxpayers are no longer living in New York City. So I think that if they're putting money in digital, that'll be important too.
Lisa, thanks so much for being here and breaking all of that down. We really appreciate you and your
Thank you.
reporting.
Thank you.
Up next, New York City mayoral candidate Joseph Hernandez discusses why he should be your choice for mayor in November. Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote. We'll be right back. We're back with Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote, where we are laser focused on this New York City mayoral election. Joining me now for the bigger picture is Joseph Hernandez, an independent candidate running to be mayor of New York City. Mr. Hernandez, welcome.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
So I want to get your take on all the issues, and we'll do that. But before, let me just start with this. What prompted you to get into the race for mayor?
You know, I'm an immigrant. I am the American immigrant story. I came here. I was 7 years of age. I had an opportunity to create a life here. I got educated here. I have so much gratitude and debt to this society and this country that embraced us when we were immigrants, gave us a real opportunity. And, growing up, my parents would always say, in this country, you work hard, you get educated, you do the right things. And at some point in your life, you're going to have to repay the society that gave you so much. So this is my opportunity to stand up for something that I really believe in, and that's America and the American dream and all the goodness that this country has. So that's the reason why.
And why as an independent?
Well, I think most Americans are down the middle. I mean, I really believe that most Americans don't want their government to abuse them financially. And I think that ideologically, most people really just want people to do their own thing, live their own life, and just have opportunity and freedom. And I think that really resonates more with me on the Republican line, excuse me, on the independent line. Although I have been historically a Republican registered voter, there's things about both parties that I don't like, and there's things about both parties that I like. So I think this is a better messaging, and I think it resonates more with New Yorkers. New Yorkers are more centrist, I would argue.
Give me a little bit of your background. How long have you lived in the city? What do you do? What expertise are you
Yeah.
bringing? Talk a little bit about yourself for people who've not met you before.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I came here at the age of 7. My dad was a political prisoner in Cuba. We came from a socialist communist society, so we know how this thing plays out.
Uh-huh.
We came here with nothing. My dad was a dishwasher. My mom cleaned homes, and I worked really hard. I got 5 degrees. I went to the best schools. I got 3 degrees from the University of Florida. I was originally trained as a scientist, a molecular biologist. I went to Yale. I went to Oxford. I have built 12 different companies. I brought 5 of them public. I ran the Nasdaq bill twice, just 3 weeks ago. I am the American dream. I am the American story, and I am so grateful for the opportunity that this society has given me. And we're here just trying to change the world. I certainly don't need a political job. I wasn't planning on being a politician at this stage of my life, but I think history sometimes calls you when you least expect it, and I'm just standing up for a society that I believe needs to be preserved.
So let's talk about socialism. Mamdani's democratic socialism didn't scare off voters in the primary. In your view, is it that they just didn't hear enough about it? They just don't know enough? Or is it possible New York City voters are interested in what Mamdani is selling? And if so, tell them why they're wrong.
Well, look, I think socialism, when you read it in the books, it's a beautiful utopia. It's not real. I think when you apply real human behavior and feelings and the individuality that exists in all humans, I don't think it works. And I think history has proven that it doesn't work. Look at Nicaragua, look at Venezuela, look at Cuba, look at Mao China. I mean, it's the history is filled with these utopia ideologies that start and never really work out. They all start based on economics. And if you look at what's resonated with Mandami, it's really the freeze the rent, the free bus, the
Yeah.
things that are challenging. And look, New York, the reality is New York is an expensive place. We've got to do something to change the cost of living here, because it is a real issue, and we got to do something about it. So I think that's resonated with voters. And but I believe, unlike he does, I believe capitalism is really the solution. The invisible hand of the market is going to solve this problem. Socialism and giving free stuff away never really works out well.
So, in a minute, I'm going to ask you about affordability and your plans. But first, just as we're getting to know you, politicians promise change all the time. Once they get into office, real change rarely comes because the system's hard and the system is, it's been
Yeah.
the system for a long time. It's hard to really change it. Um, how will you be different coming from outside politics?
Well, I think, I'm not a career politician. I have built my career operating companies. I mean, I know how to run companies. I know how to hire the right people. I know how to build budgets. I know how to delete when things don't work right. I know how to structure debt. I know how to operate companies. And look, if you look at New York City, it is a massive corporation. It's a 300,000 employee
Yeah.
corporation that runs a $120 billion budget. If anybody needs to run the city, it's someone who knows how to run corporations and large corporations. That's my expertise. I've lived this my whole career, and I think I'm the right person to really clean up the city, make it right, make it safer, make it more affordable, and bring technology. I think technology, people dismiss technology. I am a technologist. I think artificial intelligence is changing the world. It is what electricity was in the 1800s, in the early part of our century. This is going to transform humanity. And New York should be leading in this, and the city of New York should be leading in this. So I'm a big believer that that is a technology we have to deploy here to transform the city and provide better services. At the end of the day, New York City is an entity providing services. We're no different than a corporation. We've been doing it very poorly for the last 8 years, so we need to change that, and technology is the way to solve that.
You entered this race after the primary. Do you think that gives voters enough time to get to know you? There's, like we said at the beginning, under 80 days left.
You know what I found out? We went out and we were doing our petition drive. We had to get 3,750 signatures to be on the ballot. And as I was talking to individuals in New York City about my story, but also what I wanted to do for the city, it resonated incredibly well. I feel positive as soon as I get my message out to
Mm.
people, it's going to resonate. And really, honestly, I am the antithesis of Zoran. I believe in capitalism and I believe in the American dream.
We'll stay right there because, as promised, I want to ask you about some of the issues that matter most to voters. Battleground New York City, the fight for your vote. We'll be right back. Back here on Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote. And I'm joined once again by Joseph Hernandez, independent candidate for New York City mayor. Let's talk about the issues. We mentioned affordability. We know that's really, really on voters' minds right now. Probably the biggest issue of the election. What's your case? How are you going to make New York City more livable?
Well, I think affordability, as I mentioned earlier, it's a real issue. New York City has gotten really expensive. It is, I've been here since 2011, and the cost of living here has been astronomical. If you're looking for rent in the city, good luck. It's a very, very difficult city. I really believe that freezing the rent is not going to do anything for the macroeconomics that exist here in New York City. I think what we have is a real challenge of supply and demand. It's the basic economic things that get taught to you in business school. What we're faced here in New York City is a situation where we have an incredibly low vacancy rate. New York City has a vacancy rate of 1.4%. The national average is 7%. And when you look at those numbers are pretty significant. Effectively, it means that you need 132,000 new housing units in New York City to bring your rate to a level that's at the national level. To do that, you have to be incredibly aggressive. We have a three-pronged strategy to do that. One is releasing. There's about 50,000 units that are under rent control that are basically off the market. They're called being warehoused. The reason they're being warehoused is the owners of those units don't find economic rationale to put those units back in the market. So we have a plan to incentivize them to put those 50,000 units back in the market. And a very important piece because these are rent control units. So they help people of low income and people that are moving here for the first time. Your first student getting a job on Broadway, or your first intern getting a job in a finance world. These are the important people that are just coming to the city, as are single moms that want to work here and educate their kids here and raise their kids here. The other part of it is really when you look at New York City, especially Midtown, which is where I'm at right now, most of the office space around here is sitting empty. We have 95 million square feet of office space empty in New York City. It's insanity. We should be working to convert those to housing. I can tell you the owners of those buildings would gladly do that.
Sure.
It's something we have to work at the city council level.
Mm.
We have to change the zoning laws, and we have to incentivize these owners to convert those into housing. And then the third piece of our strategy is to roll out a new development initiative with developers. The city owns 14,000 different pieces of property in the city. Why don't we cut a deal? Let's cut a deal with developers, and we say, look, we'll give you the land, build affordable housing for our cops, for our teachers, for our firemen,
Hmm.
people that can't afford to live in the city.
Yeah.
Let's give them an opportunity to live here and be part of this community. And I think when you do that, when you do that, the math works out. We get about 150,000 units in the city in a period of about 24 months. The pricing in housing will drop. That is the way the market works. It works in every aspect of life, and it'll work in real estate.
And let's talk about crime, because that's also a concern for many voters. Crime on the streets, crime in the subways. I work in the city. Sometimes it doesn't feel very safe, or definitely not as safe as it used to when I lived there earlier. What's your fix for crime?
New York City, and I think your feeling is a universal feeling. When you speak to any New Yorker who's been here for a prolonged period of time, they will tell you New York City is an unsafe city. It's never been this unsafe. I don't remember a time where you are uncomfortable going to a subway station and not getting close to the tracks concerns you.
Yes.
That was never something that happened 2 or 3 years ago. We have a city that's unsafe. We have a city that is unwilling to enforce its laws. We have a
Mhm.
police force that is demoralized. We have a prosecuting entity that doesn't want to prosecute crimes. We have a real problem. My strategy here is to bring another 10,000 new police officers to the force. It's going to be a no-nonsense situation. If the local prosecutors are not willing to prosecute criminals, we're going to bring in the federal prosecutors to bring these people to justice. We cannot have a city without law and order. There's no society that works without law and order, and that is the first part. You're not going to disrespect police officers in our city. That's not going to happen. That's going to stop immediately. And these revolving doors of justice, we're going to find a mechanism to make sure that you do not come out of those doors again. And that is my promise to the city. I will absolutely enforce the law to the fullest extent.
Um, you've already received the endorsement of the Bodega and Small Business Group, and we're actually going to have their founder, Francisco Marte, on the show next week. What does that endorsement mean to you? Why is that community behind you? And are you counting on any additional endorsements?
Well, listen, we're so honored to have their endorsement. These are the hardest working people in New York City. These folks wake up before dawn. They open their doors. They serve their community, and all they want is a fair chance at the American dream. This is what America is supposed to be. Most of these are immigrants. They're just working hard to get their kids educated, so the next generation of kids are going to be good contributors to our society. This is what you want in New York City. You don't want these people to leave New York City. And so I am honored to be supporting them and for them to support my cause. I really believe they're the American dream, and we got to support them.
If someone were to say to you that the move to get into this race now as the fourth independent will only split the vote further and maybe guarantee a win for Mamdani, what do you say to that?
Well, listen, I am an immigrant. I have been the underdog my whole life. This is my pole position. This is where I excel. I feel confident that we will articulate our message to the New York community, and my message will resonate. I think I'll be the lead candidate here in no time. That being said, we have filed a lawsuit against the city. We truly believe that their application of ranked choice voting in the primary, but not in the general election, is unconstitutional. And I think if we're successful, and I think we will be, this issue of splitting the vote is going to be a non-issue. New Yorkers are going to have an opportunity to pick their best candidate, and I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be me.
This race, as you know, is being watched around the country. What's your take on the state of politics right now, and why do you think so many people are interested in this New York City race for mayor?
I mean, think about it. This is the center of capitalism. This is the center of America. There is a battle of good versus evil, and I consider socialism and communism evil because it is evil. And I think that's why the world's paying attention. There is no way we can let this city fall to a socialist, communist ideology. I think America will be in real hot water if we allow that to occur. And I wake up every morning and that is my battle. And I hope New Yorkers feel that same way because we can't let this happen here.
Before I let you go, real quick, what's your bodega order?
I like a bacon, egg, and cheese always.
Oh, that's a winner. That's a crowd pleaser. Joseph Hernandez, thank you so much for being here and laying out your vision for the city. We'll be following the race, obviously, and you'll have to come back.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for the good work you guys do. It's very important. We appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow and every Monday through Friday for more in-depth conversation, context, and reporting right here on Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote. I'm SC Cupp. Thanks again.